In today's episode, we're exploring stories of parents who've made the switch to online schooling for their children. I'm your host, Ali, but you're not here to hear about me. Today, you're here to hear about a guest that we have called Violet. So let's dive in. So, Violet, thank you very much for joining us on the show here today.
Thank you for having me.
There we go. So, in order to start and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and your family, what can you tell us?
Okay, well, I have 3 children. My eldest is the one who we have taken to electively home educate. That's Charlie, he's 14. Esme is 8 and Billy is 5. Esme and Billy are both in mainstream school doing well. And Charlie is home educated and through the online school and doing fantastic.
Busy household.
It can be chaotic, but it's fun. I wouldn't have it any other way.
There we go. All right, cool. Thanks for that. And so what would you say motivated you to explore online education for your child?
Oh, that's where it takes a bit of a sadder turn. To be honest with you, we were just consistently let down by the school system. We tried every avenue. This isn't just one school I'm talking about. This is 3 different schools. Really? It was horrendous. My son was having panic attacks in the morning about having to go in. When he got home, he just locked himself away in a room. He had no friends. He had nobody to talk to. The teachers were about as useful as a chocolate teapot. There was just meeting after meeting after meeting with each of the schools. The last one in particular, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. They'd always say, oh yeah, we'll check on them throughout the day, and you'd accept that as a parent, but what does that actually do? That's all they offer. They're constantly asking us as parents to meet them halfway. There's no halfway with them. It's either conform to what they want to happen or nothing at all. Yeah. And so that's what's pretty much led us here. It was a very scary process, of course, but it was the end of the line for us. It just wasn't working for us.
Fair enough. Yeah, we have found that the triangle between parent, child, and school is really, really important. But everyone's got to give a little something, and it finds that the school doesn't really want to compromise.
Well, they can't, can they? They're governed by councils. I mean, there were some teachers who were absolutely lovely and really went out their way to make Charlie feel welcome, to try and get him involved in clubs, in sports. But their hands were tied as well because all these kids are coming off this little assembly line. It's a one-box-fits-all. And for children, that's not the case. I mean, imagine as an adult, yeah? We go to work. We're in an environment that's hostile. Our colleagues don't want to be nice to us. In fact, they go out their way to be mean to us.
Tell me about
it. So we as adults are not expected to have that environment. There's HR in place, there's things in place, but at schools we tell kids to get on with it.
But it's a bit jungle.
Exactly. We see it as the school experience. It's expected, but these are young children. Like, I've heard of some kids as young as 7. I mean, just actually having panic attacks, not wanting to go into school. That's ridiculous. That's when we know that something's failed. If our children, were behaving this way at home, the school would then be bringing social services.
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. But if it happens the other way, people won't really bat an eyelid, right? It's just kind of
it's not it. Exactly. It's the school experience, and it does work for some people, and I'm happy for them. I mean, there's many adults that have said, but he's going to miss out on socialising. He's going to miss out on this, that, and the other. He wasn't socialising. He's got a better social life now that he has confidence. Do you know what I mean? He's got more friends. So I'm very, very passionate about this.
I appreciate it. This is your time, not mine, so ignore me. You please carry on.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm very, very passionate about this and the approach to it and the decision to get here. I mean, Charlie now, he attends Explorers. That's once a week. That's a group activity setting every week. On the Sundays, he goes to this group called Mosaic over in London. They are fantastic. Mm-hmm. I can never get him off the phone now from his friends, whereas before we were constantly arranging doctor's appointments due to his mental health.
And why was that? Like, what kind of led? What were the actual trigger points where that led to Charlie's mental health deteriorating or becoming a problem or a challenge?
Okay. So Charlie was very advanced in some subjects and very behind in others. That didn't fit the social construct that was school. So they were just keeping him in lower sets in a few things and then raising him into higher sets in everything. So that put so much pressure on him. It was beyond belief. And along with that, my son isn't heterosexual, which, you know, in a school environment would be expected. And there was a lot of bullying surrounding that as well.
Sure. And was that just from everyone? Was that from just school kids, staff?
I wish it was just school kids. I really do. There was an incident not long before I decided to deregister him where a teacher laughed along to another child blatantly bullying my child in a class. And do you know what came of that investigation? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, because what are they going to do? How can it be proved? Another adult wasn't in that room. We're trusting our children with these adults. We're leaving this. Exactly. We're essentially leaving our children with these strangers all day long and trusting them because they're adults. We're choosing them over our children, essentially. When our child comes home and says, this teacher was mean to me, well, what did you do to the teacher? Because I'm sure the teacher's written out something that you've done.
And it just becomes a spiral. It becomes a terrible downward spiral for, I guess, imagine Charlie at the time, right?
It was pretty horrific. We had therapists involved. We had doctors involved. It wasn't a nice time for us as a family at all. And sending my child off to school every morning broke my heart. Because actually, it got to the point of vomiting and hyperventilating, and I'd even walk him in. And the thing I regret the most is that I didn't do this sooner. I didn't take him out sooner, because it was very apparent from a young age. He's 14 now, but it was very apparent from the age of 8 or 9 that a school setting wasn't for him.
So the signs were there.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, we all have. I mean, just this morning, my youngest Billy, he was like, I don't want to go to school. I miss you. Fair enough. I know. It tugs at your heartstrings, but no, I'm afraid not, darling. Off you go. You're going to be absolutely fine. And he is, because we know our children. We know how it works for them. But when you know your child, you know they're not going to be fine.
Sure. And what were those mornings like when Charlie was going through those episodes of bullying? Inside, what was his routines? What was his energy like? What was Charlie like? Was he really the Charlie that you knew and loved, or was he someone?
No, it was very scary as a parent to watch it happening. There was self-harm.
Wow.
There was professional involvement. I had a meeting at least once every 3 days with that school, just trying to get him to get up in the morning and to get him out. He didn't want to come out. The room was like a pit. That was just where he went. It's like a pit. Not being dramatic, it was like a pit of despair. That is where he stayed, and he wouldn't come out. It was pretty horrific, and I felt like, as a parent, I was being abusive sending my child to school. And then, there were many days where he was off. There were so many days where he just would not go in, because you can't pick up this massive child or just drag them in there.
Yeah.
It can't be done. And then all that happens is you then get letters from the school. We're blamed as parents, not them, us. We're blamed because they don't want to be there. Whereas if my child, like I've said, if my child was sat at school at the end of the day and said, I don't want to go home, and sat there and cried, they wouldn't bring him home to me. They'd be calling people in. They'd want to know what the issue is.
Yeah. It's funny how when the shoe's on the other foot, people's attitudes change, right?
Oh, completely and utterly. Because when all this happens, their first thought was, well, what's going on at home? The issue isn't at home. My child wants to be home.
Home's fun for them. Home's safe for them, right?
That was it. This was his safe space. Home was his safe space. And they tried to turn that around. They tried to say that I wasn't making enough effort to get him to come in. I wasn't engaging enough with the school. I was there twice a week. Constantly. I knew every member of staff, even the ones that weren't even in his year group. And this is a school that had around 900 pupils in it. Yet I knew all the teachers.
And what kind of efforts would you make to Charlie to get him out?
Oh, Jesus, what didn't I do? I think we went from everything to changing a bedtime routine, changing what he ate, to literal bribery. I mean, actual bribery. When it got to the stage where they were talking about fines at the school, I was thinking, well, it might be if I paid him like half the rate of that, he'll actually go to school.
It'd be cheaper for you, right?
It worked out that way for me, to be honest.
But he wasn't biting.
Oh, no, God, no. That's not going to happen for us. I mean, if I was a 14-year-old, I'd have loved that, but no.
Well, so then I guess it was fair to say a really traumatic time for yourself.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of time now to forgive myself for not seeing those signs, for not knowing that this was even an option. I mean, we think homeschooling, we think, these kids hidden away at home, not being educated, they're never going to get on in life, they're never going to be able to do anything. I felt like I'd be robbing my child of his future, when really he could have been this happy all along. But unfortunately, I was uneducated in it, because they don't want us to know this. That they just don't. This is the council. They don't want to do it. They never try and push it on parents. It's never given as an option. The school don't want us to do this, because I don't want to say this horribly, it's their money, isn't it? You take away a student, they've got to answer for it.
That's funding, and that's people premium that potentially that they don't get.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're all stating we've got wait lists for children, and you're thinking, okay, to take a child out, they'll just move up the wait list. That's fine.
Doing a favour.
That's what I saw it as, but no, because they have to answer to their councils. Why would a child want to leave your school?
Sure.
And that affects everything from them, anything from Ofsted rating just to governors' meetings.
So then how did you actually learn about online learning, online schooling, home educating?
Oh, pure and utter desperation. Right. So I went to good old Google. And I knew home education, it was there. We all know it's there. We've all heard of families that have done it. But I just thought, this isn't something that's going to work for us, because how am I going to teach a child? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm an educated person, but I'm not educated to the degree of being a teacher. I mean, we had to teach them to wipe their bums, tie their shoes, and that was frustrating enough. Biology was out the window. So I had a look around. I shopped around at different tutors. That tutors weren't going to work for us, because that would have been too much pressure for Charlie. That's someone in his home, in his space, and setting out tasks for him in person. He'd have found that difficult. He was quite a shy boy in the beginning. I think he'd actually manage it now, but he's quite a shy boy in the beginning. And he'd have struggled out. It would have been no different to being in mainstream school for him there.
Feels like an interrogation.
It does feel exactly like an interrogation. That's how it felt, like one adult purely focusing all their attention on him and what he's doing. That would have been too much. So I looked at some other online schools. I'm not mentioning names, but trying to word this correctly here, they felt like mainstream school but online. They did great during COVID. It felt like another assembly line. We need to fit them in these boxes. And of course, you're looking at the cost again.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were absolutely insane for what they were offering, and I just didn't. It didn't feel like it would be a right fit for Charlie. It didn't feel like they would connect right. They were copying the schools too much. They wanted to be too much the way the schools are governed.
Sure. And then what kind of brought your attention towards us? What brought your attention towards the online school.uk?
Okay, so I saw the online school advertised, and I thought, right, what's another interview? I mean, at this stage, I'm not going to lie, I was about 3 weeks into having Charlie at home and being deregistered and trying to find our feet with things. I was like, right, let's just give another interview a go. What really drew me in, it was the ethos of the school, the whole understanding that to have got to the stage of home education, these children, they need to be treated as individuals because they haven't been.
100%.
Each child has their own personality. They have their own strengths, their own weaknesses. They are all different, and that's celebrated. It's not held against them, and that really came across. So yeah, I decided to do the taster week. I mean, that was great for us. Charlie he went from stride to stride with that. He really enjoyed it. He got his head around, it's online, but he doesn't have to be in line. The teachers don't have to see him. That made him quite happy. But I sat back and I watched, and I could see the children all communicating with each other on there.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. And then there was one comment, I think one boy in particular, he said something not particularly mean, but it was quite sarcastic to another student. That was shut down within 15 seconds. Literally within 15 seconds, because someone was monitoring that chat, and I wasn't aware of that. And I thought that was brilliant.
I remember when you first finished your first week, I think we shared a tear together.
Oh God, yes. It just gave me hope. I'm getting quite tearful now, actually, remembering it. To get that stage, I was so desperate to ensure that he didn't fail in future, that he could take these GCSEs, that he could be alongside his peers, but do it in his own way. And that seemed possible at the end of that taster week. That seemed possible. He was excited. He got up in the mornings. He wouldn't stop talking about the teachers, the lessons, the other students. It was a different child. When we got to the end of that week at the weekend, I don't think I've slept that good in months.
And what about Charlie's lifestyle? What about his sleep? What about his patterns now? I know you said he's...
It was before Charlie joined the online school, the GP was questioning antidepressants.
Oh wow!
A few weeks into the online school, the GP said no, it's not needed. They do this chart with the doctors where the kids write down how they're feeling. It's just on a graph, basically. Very likely, unlikely. She told me the first one that Charlie had written out compared to the last one, which was after the first week, I believe, with the school, was like day and night.
That quick?
It was that quick. Well, it was the root of the issue for him, wasn't it? The root of the issue was his education. It was the school. It was the understanding. It was him feeling that he wasn't good enough because he didn't fit into these boxes.
But once he found a place that he kind of felt like he could belong, he didn't feel...
That's exactly it. That is belonging. And that is what children this age desperately need. That's what they want. That's all they want to feel. And when they don't feel that, it's a rejection like no other. But with the online school, I can't quite put into words just how different my child is. The online school saved my child.
I'm glad we could do that. Can you confirm that you're not being bribed for this conversation?
I wish I was.
Maybe once.
Joke. Let's see how we go.
Let's see how we go.
No, I wish I was. It's just sad that this is what mainstream school does to children, that this is the point it's gotten, that something this small to change can make such a dramatic difference to a child. Everything needs to be looked into with that, because it's like, for example, my sister, she won't mind me saying this. I told her I was doing this today, and I said, you know what, this just shows what I've been saying. My nephew, he is 9. He's at a special needs school. Sure. He has autism. He has sensory processing disorder. For anyone that doesn't know that, sensory processing, it's different feels, different textures. It can send a child an absolute meltdown. They've just got a new teacher, and she's insisting that the children wear the appropriate school uniform, as in the right trousers, the right skirts. Yep, they're insisting this. This morning, he tried to take a door off its hinges just because he didn't want to wear these trousers, and she had to. I know, honestly, I'd take the door off as well with these trousers. I've seen them; they're not great. Now, She had to call the school and say, sorry, he's not in. They put that down as unauthorised absence. Yeah. Now, this is at a school where there's, an EHCP, an educational healthcare and plan in place. This is because they want them regimented. It reflects better on the school.
Even if the school is a special needs school?
Even if the school is a special needs school, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They need to see it. This is their exact words. They need to see him so upset at wearing these trousers for them to agree. They go back in job.
By which point the damage has already been done.
That's it. The damage is done there. That's it. I mean, I had it continuously at Charlie's school. Well, if he's this upset, he can't come in. We need to see him this upset. As if I'm going to lie, like I desperately want my child not to be in school.
So you want your child, I mean, to be honest, I'm sure most parents would like to, think of this sort of daycare, right? You send your child to school, you get a few hours of peace, and then at the end of the day, they come back home happy in an ideal world, right?
It's free childcare and they're getting educated at the same time. That's basically it. Of course, we would all love that. I would love for Charlie to be able to go to mainstream school, to have the experience of lots of peers around you physically and enjoying the work and, doing the sports, getting involved, doing this, But it just wouldn't happen for him. I mean, my younger two, they are thriving in school. They're doing fantastic because school is suited to them. We're not supposed to make children suited to school. School has to be suited to them.
If it doesn't, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with your child. It just means the environment.
Exactly. It's just the environment it's in. And I tried 3 different environments, I'll tell you. Honestly, I tried multiple. It just wasn't working.
Fair enough. And then in terms of like the main highlights that now, as you've transitioned over towards online schooling, what would you say and we already know that you got a good night's sleep. We know Charlie's...
Yes, that's been great. The house is much more harmonious now. Much more. I used to call Sunday D-Day. That's what I used to refer it as because, I knew what was coming. There'd be the tantrums, there'd be the screaming, there'd be the shouting, there would be the silence. The silence was worse than anything, to be honest with you. There would be the fear of what was looming.
Sure.
We don't have that now. We don't have any of that now. Especially the way the structure of the lessons is set up. Charlie doesn't have to be up at, the crack of dawn, getting ready, getting equipment ready, making sure he has everything to hand. It's all there at his own pace. And he can log on, and I get the alerts that he has logged on as well. I love this feature as well of the platform, that I know when he's in lessons, I know if he's completed them, I know what he's doing. And then if he hasn't completed a lesson for whatever reason, I don't know, I think this has happened once, is we ended up having to go out somewhere. If he hasn't completed a lesson, the school just simply check in, is everything okay with you? There's no judgment. There's no upset that how dare you not be there. Is everything okay?
Fair. Yeah. I guess you normally see me on the other end of the phone call asking, what do you think about this? And is this okay? So I guess you also get a chance to Charlie's life here at school as well, right?
Yeah, I really enjoy that feature of it, that as parents, we can be involved, that we can have a say on how we want this for our children. And the children at the end of the lessons, they rate the teacher. I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, could you imagine that in mainstream? Charlie rates the teacher, how the lesson was for him, how it worked for him. And there hasn't been any issues so far, but if there were, I know it gets dealt with promptly.
Yeah. I mean, because if we don't deal with it, that goes against our ethos. It means the child's unhappy. And if the child's unhappy, that means that we're not honouring what we believe to be our core value. So,
Exactly. And it just completely works around him. Along with that, if he were to miss a lesson, we've yet to really have it. We just had that one time when I had to take him out somewhere. I think that was for an appointment. But if that were to happen, they're recorded as well, so he can come back to them.
Yeah, and he can make notes and pay attention during the lesson.
Exactly. And all homework's there for him to deal with. And I can see when he's done that, I don't have to rely on him anymore to explain to me, have you done this? Have you done that? Because it's all there laid out for me. So he can just enjoy the experience of it and then get on with his day.
I guess he doesn't have to go on camera, doesn't have to feel judged, doesn't have to use microphone. Right.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to do that. They can go in the chat box with each other and they can talk away. And there's some really nice kids on there. They are lovely, lovely children. They all get on really well, and the teacher really does the teachers, they all structure it around the students, not around the curriculum of what they have. Don't get me wrong, they do get there, but they structure it around each child. And the classes aren't big, which I really like.
So what would you say is the main thing different about the way the teachers teach here in comparison to what you may have been experiencing or what Charlie's experienced in physical schools?
I think the online school teachers actually want to be there. I can't put it any other way. They seem like they're happy to be there. They're not like the children aren't being viewed as an inconvenience they have to deal with.
I will to double check that they are still happy to be here, although I do believe they are. I think to add to that, what I do realize is that they're all people who understand children and they communicate at their level.
Yeah.
Safe. So there is that. And I guess Charlie would be testament to that more so than you and I, right?
Honestly, he's come on so well. Like some of the lessons where he was lagging before, he's ahead of now. It's because someone's met him halfway and actually wanted to help him. He didn't feel like, because this is how he felt before. He felt like an inconvenience that he was in the way of students learning. Yeah.
And I remember when we first spoke after I think one of Charlie's first few lessons, you told me that he actually grew a sudden confidence to start reading out in front of class, which
that was amazing. Yeah, because when he first started, he's like, right, no mic, no camera, that's it. This is all I'm doing. And now you can't get him off, can you? You can't get him off the screen or talking. And he's felt that confidence to talk in front of kids, but his confidence it's spilled out everywhere. To be honest with you, like he's joined these after school clubs and he's doing these activities at the weekend and he has his own friends now. And it's we were only talking about this weekend actually. My husband, we feel like we can breathe. We can actually breathe now.
That's awesome, right? That's awesome. So then what would you say, what would be your advice to other parents who are considering making that jump but are feeling a bit apprehensive, maybe somewhat scared, or whether it's the right thing for their child? What could you say to them? What would your message be to them?
Just do it. You're never going to be ready. You're never going to have all your ducks in a row. It's never going to be the perfect time. It's never going to be the right moment, but literally just do it and your mind will be blown with it. And we think people are going to stop us from making these decisions for our children. They can't. They claim they can, but they can't. I mean, when I deregistered Charlie, the first thing the school said was, you have to come in for a meeting. No, I don't. That's my child. I don't have to do any meetings. It will make your life easier because the council now wants to know why I'm taking my child away from you. Contact your local council. They have home education departments there. They can't agree with your reasoning to take them out because they're not allowed to because they want them in school. But work with them as well. And that ties in with the online school again. The online school is your proof that you are providing an education for your child suitable to their age group, which is all that is required of you. And you can show them. Sorry?
And you get your reports. You get your...
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I've got someone actually coming up from the council on Friday and I've told her what we've been doing. They are ecstatic about that and they're happy to look at the reports that the teachers have done. They're happy to look at Charlie's homework and we're signed off for another year then. It's just yearly they have to check.
Fair enough. And I guess one of my last questions, by the way, thank you for being here, first of all. But sometimes people like to start things, finish off on a high. I'd like to finish off on a low. What would you say are all the bad things about online schooling and maybe even us specifically that you could probably share with parents, just to give people an unbiased view of what the realities of like?
Oh no, it's not all sunshine and roses. The beginning is the hardest stage. I'd say the first month I found that the most difficult, because I didn't know what I was doing. There were so many pitfalls. There are so many places really quick to take your money. Like, I found somewhere online pretty cheap per lesson basis, and we found out there was a reason for that. Like, again, it was a teacher in her spare time. You know, I'm sure she's wonderful, but Charlie just felt like he was being dragged on there. That was difficult. So there is a lot of trial and error with things, and there is getting to know your child. And of course, in this day and age, it's a parent or an adult being there with the child, because, you know, the childcare element of the school is taken away from you. But it's your child's happiness. It's just something you have to do. It's something you have to do. If you've got to the stage of being desperate enough that the schools aren't working, it's something you have to do.
And would you say that, I guess, the online school offers financial support for parents to make it a bit more affordable as it is? But
yeah,
have you found our prices? And obviously, to pay for education is obviously a new way of living, right? But how did you guys work around that? Did you guys appreciate the price points that we're at? Do you think they're fair in the market?
They're definitely fair. I'll say that. There is cheaper, but there's a reason there's cheaper. And that will just set you backwards, to be honest with you. I found others to be quite expensive, almost to the point of extortion. I mean, there was one I looked at, and they were talking about $8,000 a year. Now, to me, that's a private physical school. And some people just don't have that. And yeah, there's the discounts with the online school, which are so helpful.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that's been absolutely amazing. And thank you for sharing all of your... Thank you for getting very personal, by the way. Really appreciate
sorry, I feel like I haven't shut up. Sorry.
Oh, no. This was your time to shine, not mine. This is meant to be for parents who are considering making that jump from from physical schools to online. Those who are not sure, and actually hearing from someone who has made the jump, specifically with us, and, you know, come out better at the other end, and who's been willing to share their story. So I want to say thank you very much for that. Any final words for anyone listening, or have I made you talk yourself all out?
No, the only thing I would really say to any parent about to make this jump is just trust your instincts. Yeah. Don't be swayed. Just trust your instincts. You know your child better than anybody else.
Cool. No, great advice. No, thank you very much for that, Violet. Guys, thank you very much for listening. This was another episode of the Online Schools Podcast, and tune in next time. All right, guys, take care.